Good morning to you. It's 10 o'clock in Barbados and across the Eastern Caribbean. Great to have you in company. I'm Cassandra Crawford. This is my 10 to 12, and thank you for making it yours as well. We know that lots is happening. There is a lot going on wherever you are. People are trying to readjust to, being back in the office more. People are trying to decide whether or not to get their vaccine. Yeah, there's still some people who are undecided. And, we're just all trying to cope with whether it's bills, whether it's not having enough time, not having enough help. My thing is, listen, you're never going to have a perfect situation. If you do, or have what you feel is close to perfect or enough for you to be satisfied with and not feel any worries, this is great. Try and spread some of that love, some of the formula. Share the formula, but don't try to tackle everything at once, because that is where life just becomes overwhelming. And I acknowledge that for some situations it will be an easier thing to say than to see accomplished, because people are dealing and coping with different dynamics in their lives. So I'm saying to you, just try to take one thing at a time. Literally, and if you can manage more, as you can manage more, do just that. Just saying, we want you to stay afloat, as people say. So it's the 23rd day of June. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every month when the month starts, okay, great, it's exciting, it's a new month, and then before you know it, it's almost gone again. So we are at our penultimate week in this month. I know, I feel like this has been a bumper Father's Day kind of weekend. I think I saw so much going on for dads. I hope that you feel good about that. Restaurant spaces seemed to have been a buzz. When you pay attention to social media, a lot seemed to have been happening for the dads, and I think that is fantabulous. Dads have said, or men have said, so much. People make quite the hullabaloo for Mother's Day, and then when Father's Day comes, it's like, I don't think it was like that this year, and I think that is great. And I had promised that we'd be dealing with topics related to men. I'm keeping my word, so today is the situation again, and I hope that you'll stay with me for the couple of hours right up to news time at 12. But wherever you are watching from, happy to have you in company. If you're watching here on CBC TV8 in Barbados and across the free-to-air territories, so happy that you decided to tune in, and I want you to continue to stay safe. People, this is not a time for you to get too relaxed. Yes, we want you to make time for relaxation, but don't get too relaxed and forget to wear your mask or to physical distance as needed when you go out, because we're socializing a little more now. Remember still to do the right things. You wear your mask into establishments. If you're at a restaurant, for example, and you've got to walk around, whether it's for the bathroom or otherwise, what you need to do is you put your mask on if you're going to be moving around. So just try to do the right thing. When you go to the gas station, you pull up and you want your 388 or whatever, how much gas you want. And if you've been paying attention to what's going on, you understand that as well. But whatever it is, you pull up to the attendant at the service station, you put your mask on, and then you go ahead and be served. Just try to do your part. And if you're not wearing a mask, I imagine you'd be in an open air space, or if you're indoors, you are a good distance apart. So let's just remember to do the right thing. And most of all, something I've always said, just you should be washing your hands wherever possible anyway. You should have been being careful and paying attention to how you operate with doorknobs and handrails. I was always that way. So easy adjustment here, but I'm just reminding you, and you have to have the conversations with the children. See how they're doing at school too, because they're back in school. Summer holiday is coming, yes, and I know many can't wait for that, but you know, check in with them and have conversations, see how they're handling it, and remind them of why they're doing what they're doing, to be careful. So yes, wherever you're watching from, if you're watching on Facebook, good morning. From whatever corner of the world you're in, we are happy to have you in company, and we want you to stay with us. We want to hear from you. Feedback is how we improve what we do, how we improve our offerings to you. So feel free to send us your questions or comments via Facebook. We want to see them and share them here with the viewers as well. We want to hear from you. So if you're watching on Facebook, please do check in and send us a message. If you prefer to call 228-5563, you can call. You know the number, so you can call us and talk with us on the topic. And again, we are about getting you a little more comfortable with what is uncomfortable. And this question for today's topic, I think, is maybe one of the most asked questions when people sit down and start chatting or try to get to the nitty-gritty of things. And it's also probably one of the most unanswered, or like there's no definitive. What do men want really in a relationship? That's the question. That's the topic. I have a number of individuals who will share with us today, a number of men, different ages, different experiences, different life paths. So it should be interesting to hear their experiences and certainly professional advice. I am looking forward to it. So with that said, let me just tell you about our guest today. We've got Ryan McCollin. He is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer with the men's organization, that's Men's Empowerment Network Support, and they have been with us throughout this month, and they will be even up to our final session next week. So, and they have been making such great contributions in the various subject areas. So that is what we're talking about. Ryan McCollin will join us. We also have our own Shane DJ Rass Edwards. You may be like, if I just said Shane Edwards, you would probably be like, only his mom would be like, yes, that's my boy. But DJ Rass, he is going to join us. He is also, apart from being a DJ and with the 98.1, the One family and entrepreneur, he is also now hosting a new show on TV8. Hopefully you've had the time to check it out on Thursday nights at 10. IDGAR, lots of hot topics and other things to talk about. So I thought I'd pull him in to hear his views as well. We will have a man of the cloth. We have the Canon Peter Haynes. He is a rector at St. Peter's Parish Church. He will join us. We'll also hear from the man who has pushed the idea of the power of choice. He's the president behind that organization, the Power of Choice and the Paradigm, Errol Griffith. So we'll talk with him. He is a people development specialist. So looking forward to hearing all the views today, and we want your comments and questions, don't forget. So stick around. Your time is moving on. 8 minutes after 10 o'clock already. Oh, before we take that first break, I have to thank you, those of you who tuned in and participated in whatever way to Festival Stage. The first show for the season aired last Friday, and it's going to happen right through to the end of July, every Friday right here on TV8 at 9:03. The Admiral and I will kick things off, and then he will take it all the way to the end. So please do tune in again this Friday at 9:03. And remember, we will tell you what you can look forward to on the Saturday Soca Showdown show. That's also coming up on Saturday evening. You have made your votes. You're going to find out on Festival Stage about, you know, who's continuing along the next leg, and you know, you have the opportunity to vote for those you want to see go all the way. $10,000 up for grabs for Kaiso Champion as well as Soca Star. Wow. I wish I could participate because, you know, girl can sing. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. We'll tell you more as we go through. So please stay tuned. This is my 10 to 12. We've got the sweet music, Carnival Fever from a Bajan guy, Ilan Trotman himself, just thanking you across the miles for being so willing to share the music with us. We'll take a quick break and get into today's topic, what men want in a relationship. My 10 to 12. It's coming up. Ready to get things moving with today's subject, to what men want in a relationship. And I am really looking forward to the conversation. I mean, everybody could use some more answers. Certainly the discourse should be helpful. And it was very interesting as I sought out my guests for today. There were a number of guests who would love to have participated, but for different reasons couldn't. However, we have, I think, a great lineup nonetheless, and we are going to hear from these gentlemen today. I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to start, as I mentioned, by chatting with the representative from Men's Empowerment Network Support. Sometimes it's just referred to as MENS, the acronym. So my guest is Ryan McCollin. He is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer with MENS. Good morning. Great to have you joining us today.
Good morning to one and all. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, good. You ready for this topic here? Because, you know...
Let's go. Let's see how this goes.
All right. You know what? I must say that in trying to get comments from men about the topic, not even thinking of them as guests, but just trying to get comments, it was very interesting. And a number of them went, nah, I can't do that on TV. So
yes, that happens.
It's very interesting. So before you talk to me about your thoughts on what men want really in a relationship, let's start with your role and just to remind people about the function of MENS.
Yes, please. Thank you. My role and function in MENS as on the executive team is Assistant Secretary Treasurer, as was mentioned, and we in the MENS organization intend to have an impactability on a society to really help men to come out of their shell. Men have been not showing up, men haven't been present, and men need a bit of help being consistent as well. So we in the Men Empowerment Network Association are here to help fan the flames beneath men, to encourage them, to empower them, to enhance them, and to let them fit back into society, know that they are not black sheep, they are not cop-outs, they are workers. And we got this together. We just need to do it together. I think that's critically important.
Absolutely. The support is important. So you seemed not surprised at what I said about men not really wanting to, they have things to say, but not willing to say it publicly about what they want. So why do you suppose that is?
That is because we were raised different. We were raised with a different stick. Men were raised to shut up. Men were told, be a man. You know, what does that look like, really? And suck it up. So we were raised different. We weren't raised to connect to our emotions, to really express ourselves based on how we feel, to say, that hurts. I do not like that. I do not like that. Why do you have to do that? Do you have to talk to me that way? So men went into their shells and their cocoons, and because of the pressures of society and the personal issues that they face in life, they hide. And unfortunately, not all men hide. And men come out of their shell. Some men do come out of their shell, primarily when we have our men's talk. Men do come out of their shell to express. We deal with a lot of tears and we deal with a lot of repairing. And it's critically important that men understand that you don't have to run and hide because you have emotions. Emotions has no gender. You just need to come and express your emotions to someone who's willing to listen and who can nurture you back on track, and you can continue to propel forward and do the things that you need to do in a successful way, that is.
Yeah.
So you can have the support.
What's the balance though? Like, how do you get guys to understand that that's okay? It's okay to feel. And who done it? This is the big question.
I done it because I came up as Grand would say. Some may know this term, the hornpipe. So I mean, I've been through a lot. That's what it basically means. So primarily for me, I was a victim of abuse in significant ways, at various levels. I had no proper role model as men. I carbon copy what I saw, but I was looking for a great original to have a identity of who I really am as a man. And I went through my process in life at a young age, and I had to find myself. I had to catch myself before I wreck myself and not let my circumstances dictate my choices. Right? So what men need to do is to recognize that I said three things earlier. Men need to show up. Show up and face what you have to face as a man.
Right.
And then men need to be present, be in touch with your feelings and emotions. It's critically important there. We have Tony Alton and the EQ IQ, and
Yes.
recently we had a session, and it's critical that we learn in the session, and it reinforces the fact that men need to give to themselves, grow themselves, right, and know themselves, and that's important. So we need to help men to retract forward and think about those things, which is critical, and feel free to talk. Everyone that you talk to should not be labeled, or let me change that. Everyone you talk to shouldn't be deemed as somebody you cannot trust. So you have to trust yourself to trust someone and talk to someone and know that someone is there to hold your information dear to their heart and try to help you as best as possible. But they have to want that help and come out of their shell.
So what do you
And that's
say?
critically important.
What do you say to the men that are thinking, man, that's bare foolishness? Talking, well, just push that one side and go outside and push some weights or something and forget about that, whatever that is. What do you say to a man who feels that way and maybe raising sons or,
Right. I call that is workers, shirkers, cop-outs. They got to determine which one you are. Are you a cop-out? Are you not willing to face your emotions? Are you not willing to face the fact that you have to take responsibility as a man? Because there's a difference between a male and a man. A man has to know his responsibilities. And if you don't function in your responsibilities in the pure sense of the word being a man, then you will thwart the opportunity to resort as a carbon copy of being just a male. So you have to face up, you have to step up and face your responsibilities. And you have to also get support to help you to connect with your feelings and not see it as, well, I don't want to deal with this. Because I have a nice quote that says, would you like to see you if you were to meet you? And it's critically important there that a lot of people don't really want to face the monster within themselves. I had to face the monster within myself because I needed to know that I am of value. I have significant contribution and value to the life and the society. And as a young man who has three wise men, my boys appreciate me today for who I am as a father. Because I had to learn about me and connect with me, because I'm not going to detach myself from my emotions. I can't. My emotions are a trigger and a sensor for me to identify with who I am as a man. That's why when you stick me with a pin, I say I. You know me. I have
I like
feelings.
it.
So why detach myself from such when I know that they were given to me to harness and to use to help me to be a better person, a better individual?
You see, this emotional intelligence thing is very interesting, and it was good that you mentioned Tony Olton. He was actually one of the gentlemen I reached out to who would have loved to be here and be part of this conversation today, but the schedule did not allow for that. So perhaps another time we can do that. But what you just mentioned is really some serious emotional intelligence, and not all guys are willing to go there and even acknowledge that they need to address things. They sometimes ego gets in the way, different things get in the way, and they never really address a situation. So they may be missing out on the fullness of life, the true fullness of life, just by not going there. And I'm wondering if, to answer today's question, what men really want in a relationship, be it platonic or intimate or whatever, whether you have to be able to say what you don't want or what you don't have to address it. What are your thoughts?
You first must, you cannot change what you have not confronted, and you cannot confront what you have not identified. So that men understand that they need to identify with their emotions, they need to identify with themselves. When I was thinking about this topic as it came to me, it was like, okay, is it more a matter of what men want, or is it more a matter of what men really need?
Right.
Right? Because wants are things that you don't have, that you want to have to survive. You would like to have these things, you see, but needs on a whole different level now is the things that you must have in order to survive. We know the basic needs in life, and men were raised, we were as men were raised to just be a provider. Even though men are supposed to be visionaries, a provider, a protector, and a cultivator, we have emotional needs that need attending to. And and I have grown up into understanding the difference between just desiring, wanting something versus the importance of really needing something.
So did
It's
you make
critical.
a wants and needs list that you can share with us today? Because I'm very interested to hear more about this.
About the wants, needs and wants. Yes, I have a needs and want list. It is critical here to understand that I would say men need listeners. We need a listening ear.
And this is in a partner?
Whether it's in a partner or whether it is a social creature, so whether it's someone who can mentor you, whether it's someone who can encourage you, men need listeners. Men need someone who they can talk to and hear what is being said, and not necessarily what someone interpret and assume. I mean, just listen to what I'm saying. For example, I do not like that you showed at me. That made me feel uncomfortable. Why? Because I told you to move the shoes from the door. You had to get on like that. I don't think I don't like that. Then you would hear, I don't care about you because da, 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 da. I mean, come on. You know, you're not. Hold on, take it easy. Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'll give you a hint and an idea to recognize that I have feelings, I have emotions. So therefore, and in saying that, I mean, sometimes it could be unrealistic, because when we think someone knows something or should expect them to know something about us, truth be told, they really don't understand how to deal with us. And the best gift that a man can give to ourselves is knowing ourselves. If you can't get along with you, then you can't get along with anyone else.
So whose responsibility is that? Because if we're
The
talking
man.
about the person, right, the person not knowing you well enough, is it that they haven't taken enough time, or you haven't shared enough? Because sometimes that's one of the things, not enough
Correct,
sharing.
correct. And that's it right there. Sometimes men would say, nobody don't know nothing about my situation, nobody don't care. That's a lie. That's stretching it.
Okay, so I'm seeing that there's a little freezing going on here. And again, I say that this internet has been wonderful to us. We have been able to do so much just through the technology, especially in the face of the pandemic, that changed the day-to-day face-to-face interactions that we would typically have. But when we have other situations, sometimes it can get a little complicated, when the internet does not respond in the way that we would like. But hopefully we will be able to reconnect with our guest, my first guest, Ryan McCollin. He is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer with Men's Empowerment Network Support, and we're talking about really figuring out how to get to the bottom of things so that you understand what men want in a relationship. And we could allude to whatever type of relationship it is, but certainly so far I'm hearing that knowing yourself has got to be a critical part of being the best you that you can be. So I look forward to continuing that situation. Last Wednesday, I don't know if it's a Wednesday thing, but last Wednesday we had a power outage. I know that we're expecting bad weather, but I don't think it's happening yet. So hopefully we'll be able to continue that chat, and I hope that the conversations are helpful to you. Remember, we are welcoming your comments. You can send your comments via Facebook, or you can ask questions. We appreciate that. We absolutely want your feedback and your interaction on whatever platform. So that's the topic today. What do men want in a relationship? And Mr. McCollin is back with us now. One of the things he was saying was, is it really what they want, or is it what men need? And the listening ear was that thing that you mentioned. But before we took the break, you had gone on to talk about the communication and the level of engagement and sharing that guys also need to extend to make that happen.
Yes, please. So it's critical that men understand vulnerability ought not to be viewed as a weakness, it's a strength. Because why then would my biological makeup is made with sensors to respond and react to something. I say not her. So then it is unfortunate, but through Men's Empowerment Network Association, we will make sure that men connect with their feelings and understand that you can connect to your feelings. It's not a bad thing. Vulnerability is a strength, and empower you, because that's what needs to happen. Yes. So listening is critically important for a male, someone who can listen. Mm-hmm. Listen without being judgmental. Listen and really hear what I'm saying. Hear the message, and don't just hear the pain. The pain is okay, but hear the message so you can get the help that they need. Men can get the help that they need within their lives.
Okay. So listening ear, that's part of what's on the needs list. Anything else that's critical? I want to hear what's on the wants list too,
well, if you want on the wants list, that's why it's important, even though men want to be heard. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we need a listener, it tells you that I want to be heard.
Right.
Don't just sweep it underneath the carpet and treat it as if I don't want to be heard. I want to be heard. That's why we fight hard to be heard. Yeah, so just listen then. Right. Just listen. Okay. So then the next one is not only listeners, but men want cheerleaders. Cheer us on. Find the flames beneath our wings. We want some bigging up. Yeah, yeah. So at the end of the day, you did a fantastic job there. I so appreciate you cook so well. You keep this house. You're so domestic. Do you know you do a fantastic job? I don't even have to worry about calling the garden anymore. You went to buy the lawnmower and the whacker. You cut the hedge. I mean, you did find the flames. At work, you do a fantastic job. I so love the way you present your presentations, your PowerPoints. I mean, you make it so simple. You're not so clinical. Big us up. We need to hear that as well. Mm-hmm. And that is important. So cheerleaders, cheer us on. You did a good job, guys. Wonderful. Every now and then I tell my boys, listen, I'm so proud of you. You did a fantastic job. Whether they don't do good in school or not, I say, guys, I admire you so much. I love you. You got this. Okay. Right? And that's important. So cheerleaders.
What about this intimacy? I see a comment there on screen.
Ah, boy.
Talk to us about that. Is that on intimacy? Is that on the wants or needs list?
That is a need.
And explain it, because intimacy is not necessarily sex.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So intimacy, I first go by saying intimacy. So you got to first see
Okay.
within. Intimacy before you can get intimacy. It is said that in order for I will quote a verse here. It is said from the word that a man cannot manage. If a man cannot manage his household, how can he manage the things of God? So you're going to manage yourself. Then you're going to manage your responsibility if you're looking to be involved in a relationship, getting into marriage, and so on and so forth. So intimacy, yes, is something that you first have to intimacy. What is it? Why is it that some men wait for a woman to give to them or a lady to give to them what they can find within themselves? Can you not look in the mirror and say you're handsome? Can you not look into the mirror and say
Like
that
what
wow, I'm
so?
proud of you?
Like what so do they wait on to get
Some
from a woman?
some males wait for a person to do something for them that they can give to themselves. Why can't you date yourself the same way? I don't have to wait for somebody to come. You're just coming and adding value to my life. You're adding value to who I already am. So when you know the who, the what will work itself out. So with intimacy, see what you have within yourself. Okay, you want a relationship. Are you willing to are you the type of person who has some chivalry that will open the door? Are you a listener where you would understand what the lady's saying to you, that you can help nourish her emotions well? Because we're supposed to nurture and we're supposed to tend. So we have to understand that. So intimacy within relationship is not primarily dependent upon what a male may expect a female to give to him. He has to first give that to himself. So it requires a strength within to really harness those skills and abilities to which you, when you know who you are, then you can give it to a female. Female, on the other hand, is to just come and really add value and contribute to what I already am.
Right. I think
And
in
that's
any
important.
relationship it should be like that. Somebody should, each person should bring something and know what
Something
they
to the
are
relationship.
bringing
Yes,
to the
please.
relationship.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yes, please.
I like that you mentioned chivalry. It was just in passing, but is that something that men want to be allowed to do? Because sometimes in today's modern world, that chivalry can get crushed under the independence
Indeed.
of the strong woman. So what are your thoughts on that? Do men want to be
Indeed.
able to feel good about opening a door or letting a lady walk on the inside, or you tell me, what have you been hearing?
I strongly think that it is there. What has happened is that because of the pressures of life and the judgmental approach that always comes towards men in a wider society, they're really going to shells. But yes, we have a lot within that needs to be cultivated. Listen deliberately to my language. It has to be cultivated. So if you can get a wonderful lady who can cultivate and harness those that with those things that are already harnessed within, it is a matter of just bringing it out, stir it up, and let it come out. So yes, some men, I do believe, would love to open up a door. But when a man opened up a door now for a strong lady, I don't need you to do that for me. I can do that for myself. Oh, excuse me. Okay, then I didn't know that. So so it's important here that a lot of communication happen within relationships, that you can know these things in advance. Would you love for me to open the door for you? Would you love for me
I
to?
like that
So
you
effective
said that.
communication is important. Would you love for me to open the door for you, babes? And stuff like that. What would you love for me to cook for you today? Because rather than just washing the car, because we know men take care of the cars very well. Not to say women can't do a good job, doesn't do a good job also at that. But rather than a man just washing the car and taking care of the bike, there's a lot within us that we would love to exhibit. But again, are you confident in your skin? How do you
And
see
this is a
yourself? How do you
question
value
to men.
yourself? Yes, please. How do you see yourself? How do you value yourself? Why do you limit yourself to think that you are just what a wider society say? I have a nice quote that says, "What people say about me should not become a reality of me." And that's twofold, for the said reason that if it makes sense for you to tell me something that I think I need to take heed to, I will listen and I will apply it to my life. That's me. I live humble, so that's me. But because of the pressures that men are under in society, they let the dictatorship of a white society thwart their ability to function at their optimal potential as men.
This is
And they stay
interesting.
stuck in a rut. And they stay stuck. So we got to get men to understand, I want you to flow like a river and not to be stagnated in pond waters. I need you to flow.
Interesting.
So get men to be in touch with the feelings to flow. Because it is so much within men that they would love to do. But coming up the way they were socialized, their social upbringing, when you do a genogram of their lives and so on, you get to realize, wow. Like for me, I never knew love. I really never knew love. I really had no good picture of what love looked like.
Wow. So we got to
And
explore that some more. We've got to definitely talk about that some more and when your turning point was. But I just keep hearing this emotional intelligence. It's key to really being able to tap into all these areas that you've mentioned and to be operating at your optimum. Truly, whether male or female, but for guys especially, with all the this is what you are to be a man kind of thing. Not that we don't want, I mean, I think it's important for you to be strong, but women cry a lot and we are pretty strong beings. We are pretty strong. So why is that not okay for a man? I think I agree with you. We definitely have to change that and encourage being in touch with those emotions. I think that as females, we'd appreciate it. We may say just don't, we may say just don't cry more than I do, but let's leave that for now. We're going to take a quick break, Mr. McCollin. We're going to bring you back into the conversation a little later, so don't disappear. Coming up next, we're going to check in with Shane DJ Ras Edwards. Continuing now with our conversations on My 10 to 12. I trust you're doing well and you're enjoying the conversation. Remember, you can comment via our Facebook feed. You can send your questions that way. And you can also keep the number handy, 228-5563, so that you can call us and weigh in. What do men want, really, in a relationship? And I'm going to put that question to my colleague, Shane DJ Ras Edwards. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I see that you are busy as ever, but let me just say I appreciate your pulling over and being ready to have this conversation with us.
Yeah, man, I'm just doing some runs on the road today, doing airport runs, just handling things for the store and stuff like that.
So, I want you, let's start there. I mean, you're a DJ, you're in that, probably in that millennial-ish group of people. You are an entrepreneur, you're heading Yaffa store, you've been promoting events, you're out there, you engage and interact with people, females, males, you know what the people are saying. So what would you say to that question, DJ Ras? What do men want in a relationship?
I think men want women to meet them halfway and sometimes lead the way, and that is in all aspects. I think that's a fair demand, I think that men don't want to have to carry all the weight all the time because we're in an era where women want to be equal. They want equality, but they only want it on some things. If you want equality, it has to be on everything.
What are the some things, DJ Raz? What are the some things?
All right.
And no,
Right.
I am going to just say that I am taking it you're speaking broadly, but there are some roses in between there. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, all right, women, this new age, a lot of women, all right, they're working. So granted, I understood they don't have time to cook every day or clean every day or wash every day or press clothes every day, and that is fine. But if you're doing all of that, then and you're not able to do all of that, so you're working, you're bringing in money, you're doing your thing. Well, then you gotta help with the bills, you gotta help with the investing, you gotta help with general expenses. Like if you are not doing everything, like if you're doing all the cleaning and all the cooking and all of that, then you can't expect the man to pay all the bills and cover everything and pay everything. So it really starts there. You need to meet each other halfway because as a man, I don't expect a woman to do all of everything. But if she is trying to be fair, well then she gotta meet me halfway. I could do some of the cooking, I could do some of the cleaning, I could do some of the washing, but then she gotta do some of the paying the bills too. And
I found it interesting that you said if she's not doing all the cooking and the cleaning.
Right. Because there are women that would decide, okay, I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to do all the washing, all the cleaning. You as the man, you provide all the finances and you cover everything. But then that's fine. As long as we have a conversation, we agree that's what we're doing, then that's fine.
Okay.
It's just a communication. But then don't expect that you're working, you're making your money, you help at home barely, but then when it comes to paying the bills, you still want the man to pay all the bills too, and you keep all the money for yourself and going out with your friends and stuff like that. I know it would get a lot of licks for it, but I find women are more selfish than men. Women are more...
Wait, did you do a study?
Women are... I do a study based on my experiences.
Okay.
I can only do it based on my experiences.
Okay.
And a lot of women are more selfish and self-oriented and self-centered than men, based on me speaking to my guy friends with their girlfriends and certain things. Like, for instance, a man would go to work all day, he would come home, deal with the kids, go in the gym, then he can come home, try to prepare something to eat, then try to fix something for the woman to eat too, fix something for the kids to eat, then the man gonna wake up in the morning, get ready the kids, do breakfast again, go work, do everything, and then when it comes to bills time and that type of time, when I ain't got the money, you work for more money than me, so blah blah blah. Money the man is putting in his work with the kids. He's still working, he's still going to the gym, he's dropping the kids to school, picking them up, and the woman don't want to pick up the kids, don't want to cook, don't want to clean, and then when it comes to bills time, don't want to put the money. I mean, granted, yes, there are men that don't help, but I find a lot of women have to see past themselves and be able to share more and appreciate more. You know, I was having a conversation the other day, and most guys were saying they never receive gifts or gestures outside of birthdays. Ever.
And they want that.
And they want that. I can guarantee you that almost every woman in Barbados has received gifts outside of birthdays. Most men do not receive gifts unless it's a birthday, and then even sometimes a birthday you don't even get that.
So these gifts that you believe most women in Barbados have received outside of birthdays and those kinds of things are requested gifts, or just gifts that guys just want to give?
Guys just want to give, and that's the thing. Like, women find it hard to spend their money on a guy, but is like guys are obligated to spend their money on women, but women not obligated to spend their money on a man. So,
what is this age group that you're talking about? Paint a picture of the demographic you are talking about.
All right, we could go from 25 to 45. The mature
That's
women
pretty broad.
buy things. Yeah, mature women buy things for their husband and stuff like that. But you find a very small percentage of women like to treat men in the courting stage. Women don't normally treat men during the courting stage. Men obviously are seen as the breadwinners, but there are a lot of women that do well in business and have great jobs. Actually, most of the managers that I know are women. I don't know about you, but most of the managers that I know actually in business, I actually interact with, most of the CEOs I know, most of the time now are women. Women are doing very well in the workplace. There's no longer that big gap to me between men and women in the workplace. Like, more women are employed than men in Barbados. If you check the stats, there are more unemployed men than women. Like, women get jobs, women get money, but yet I don't know what the women doing with the money. And this is not me bashing women. There are good women out there. I'm just saying that as a man, it is harder to find. It's very hard to find a woman that is going to treat you well. And women always expect to be treated well, but are they treating men well? Are they doing things that men like? Are they keeping men interested and keeping men happy? Like, I like gifts, Cassandra. I like nice things.
Yeah.
I like that if you see something, and I ain't say that you gotta buy me a Gucci belt or shoes. I say that if you go to the supermarket and you see a chocolate that I like, you buy that chocolate.
So
you buy
be
that chocolate.
thoughtful.
Good.
You want
Yes.
So give me the list. Earlier, when I was chatting with my first guest, Mr. McCollin from Men's, he mentioned that, you know, men want to be thought of as well. So he mentioned a needs and wants list. Give me your needs and wants list for men. What do men need and want in a relationship? And you mentioned a few things, so you can maybe just list a few things for me now. Thoughtfulness has got to go there.
Yeah, as a man, for me, I work hard whole day. You know, I on the road hustling. When I get home, I want you to listen to what I have to say, and you know, like, reassure me, encourage me. You know, if I'm feeling down, you know, try to cheer me up. You know, if I need to make a decision, you know, weighing your input, even if it's not a situation you're fully understanding. You know, your word is something like, no, I come home and you on the phone with your girls and you don't walk off the phone with your girls, so I go on my bed, and then you down before your girls like down sleeping or whatever, and then the man feel bad, he ain't talking to the man, but then the man message another woman on his phone, and the other one put his phone, giving he the attention that he want, giving he the listening ear, appreciating what he has to say, giving him the responses he want to hear, and then you can hear, oh, the man is a dog, oh, the man cheat for you, but the man just wanted to talk to you, and you did not want to talk to the man, so the man talking to somebody else.
Here is my question to this. I think that's great, and that's wonderful, because, like, we want that too. So this is interesting hearing that it sounds like y'all kind of want the same things. But how do women now reconcile that? How do you know when you are not doing too much? Because one of the things you always hear, oh, women just always going on.
Well, I mean, I will say that men do not communicate as well as women, and that's something me myself I've worked on. You know, you have to make an effort to communicate. You have to give someone a chance to change, to get to know you, to get to know what you like, because people just can't see you and automatically know what you want and what you like. So I think is a conversation you need to have with your partner, or who you're looking to have as your partner. Tell them what you like. Tell them what you don't like. Tell them what you expect. Tell them what you would like to see happen. Tell them what you would like to do. Have those conversations. And if you have to have it twice, 3 times, fine. But then after that, you know, the talk is done. But you need to have those conversations so that you're all on the same playing field. You all know what each other want. And to me, that's it. You got to communicate. So, men, we got to do our part to communicate too. We just can't sit down and be vexed. The woman ain't doing what we want. Tell she what we want, and then she ain't doing it, then go about your business.
Well, that's some interesting advice. I saw an interesting comment there as well from Patricia. Patricia was like, okay, stop right there. And you know me, how I feel. I declare my hand straight up. Not all women are like that. And but
Right.
Patricia was saying, you know, men don't really want real women. They're looking for the 36, 24, 36 stats. And so you got to take what you get when you get that. In getting somebody who into you, they're not checking for you to into them. And again, to be fair, not all 36, 24, 36 women will be like that. Some of them will be thinking of the guy. What are your thoughts before we wrap up? Well, this part for you.
I don't even know what you call it. I am not attracted to shapes or sizes. I like vibes. So you find I could have a woman that has a really brawling bottom, or I could find a woman or I could like a woman that has a really flat bottom. I am not attracted to shapes or sizes, because shapes or sizes don't really matter when you actually like they're in the bedroom or whatever. Like that don't even matter. Like shape or size don't matter. Like as long as you dress nice and you got a good vibe and I could work with you and we could work together, we could build an event together. To me, shapes and sizes really don't matter. And
So
women,
you're a personality guy.
yes, and I believe that not men, women have, and men get the blame for it. Men would go on Instagram and like pictures of a woman in a bikini or whatever, but I believe, Cassandra, I get lit for this all the time. I believe women will dress up bad to style on other women and not really to show off for men. Nobody want to hear that conversation. I take
Nope.
women that do most of their things.
So women
flaunt.
compete against each other, essentially. That's what
Yes.
you're saying. I
Because
can
you really
believe
think-
that. I ain't got no
You
time
really
for that,
take
but I
a man-
believe that.
You really take a man checking for a woman if she got a full lash set, or if she got a basic lash set, or she got Nova lashes, or she got strips, or she got this type of eyeshadow, or she got microblading eyebrows, and this thing.
Yes, you know the
Who you
thing
think
though.
But because I understand it, I understand the business, and who you take checking for all of them things? Not men. Half the men don't know what's Nova lash, microblading, this thing, that thing, but who checking for them things? Women. They say they do it to make themselves feel good, but they do it to make themselves feel good, to show off and style for other women. It's a big competition. Women
Okay.
out there competing with each other, and men like what they see sometimes, cool, but men don't really get into them real details.
Okay.
And so stop blaming men for setting these standards for women that they can't keep up. Women set their own standards. Women fighting against women. Ain't my fault. You really think that every man or most men even need a woman with huge boobs or huge behind? They do not. Most major women heavy naturally. Naturally.
I would love to see the comments at this point in time. I wish, Ras, that more men were willing to talk and share as you are. But I just want to say, I hope you can come back in a little later before we wrap up, when everybody's chatting together, so you can weigh in some more. But I appreciate that. You've been recording and sharing your show, IDGAR. Great feedback. You had a recording last night, so we're looking forward to that on Thursday.
Yes,
so
please.
you happy with what's happening with the show so far and all the hot topics and relationship advice?
Yeah, man. This Thursday we actually, it is Pride Month, so the LGBTQ plus community, we had someone there representing for that community, and we had a very, very hot topic. I know we're gonna get lashes for it because of some persons and their beliefs, but you need to listen to what I have to say and try to understand. Even though you don't agree with something, even though you support something, we are all humans, and there's nothing wrong with listening to someone's story and how they got to where they are now today. So that DGR, we've been pushing the boundaries, we've been talking about topics that you wouldn't really speak about normally. So it's been going great, and I want everyone to go to the show this Thursday night, 10 p.m. right here at CBC TV 8.
Yeah, thank you so much, Raz, and you be safe. Check back in, log back at least by 20 minutes to 12 o'clock so that we can you. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Up next, we're going to hear off. The Reverend Canon Peter Haynes joins us next. We are back with you on My 10 to 12. Interesting thoughts. I can't wait for all the gentlemen to come back together so that we can chat and hear the feedback. So at this point in time, as we continue, and again, your comments are welcome. We appreciate that. So feel free to share your comments with us via the Facebook feed. If you have questions, please go right on ahead and ask. So to hear now from the rector of St. Peter's Parish Church, the Reverend Canon Peter Haynes. He is, of course, in charge of the church there at Spicedown, St. Peter. Good morning to you, Canon Haynes.
Good morning, Cassandra. How are you?
I am doing well, and I see that you are in the sacred space. Thank you so much for joining us on My 10 to 12.
I just finished church this morning.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I don't know how much of what we've been discussing you were able to hear, but some interesting views, and I wanted to add perspective from a man of the cloth. I wanted to know what you would say in terms of what guidance, if any guidance, the Bible gives on what a man should seek out in a relationship. And of course, you being a man, you could tell us your thoughts as well.
Okay. Well, you can go back to Proverbs, and Proverbs talks about a virtuous woman, Proverbs chapter 31, and it gives this glowing picture, it paints this glowing picture about this virtuous woman who gets up early and she does all these things for her husband, she does all these things for her children, and the sacrifices that she makes. But as one of my members said to me recently, he said, Reverend, when I die, I don't want that lesson. I can't live up to those standards, you know. But so that's the biblical perspective. But the other perspective that which must come into play as we live in a changing society, and women are out there in the workplace, and we're all working in most cases. And what we're looking for women, we're looking for fidelity, we're looking for love, we're looking for some person who will complement us as individuals. Looking for a person that we can share life with and share not only the pleasures, but share the good times and the bad times of life, and to be there for one another. Because we do need one another, you know. We can't exist alone. We need that love, we need that intervention from the other person in our lives. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a steady relationship. We're looking for people that we're able to trust and that we share things with, you know, that we enjoy being with, that we let's forget, I heard about the physical things, the physical things are lovely, but some person that you are able to trust with your secrets, some person you're able to trust with your life. I think that's what we're searching for, or hopefully that we're searching for. Some person that we can live with and share this life with. It's a very short life, a few years, and to be able to share our income, to be able to share our experiences, to be able to share family and children and grandchildren, and to see them grow up, that we are able to work together with this individual who is wife, or in the other case as husband.
Right. Based on, I mean, you've done many marriages, I'm sure. You've had to counsel people before they get married. What are some of the things you say to them? Because, you know, we are encouraged not to go into this thing lightly nor recklessly. Can you tell when two people really should not even bother to embark on that journey? I'm just throwing a number of things out there. You can decide which you're going to respond to first.
Sometimes the vibes are there, and when you find the family issues, where family getting on, that you might see that these people might not make it in the future, or the problems with finance. Sometimes they're way apart in life, and we don't see them coming together in a unit. So there are times when there are questions.
But wait, you're going to make me interject here. Don't forget what you were going to say. But you see what you just said about you can see them being worlds apart. I'm not sure if I heard the first word correctly, but that made me think of the unevenly yoked phrase that you hear of in the Bible too. Perhaps you can shed a little more light on that and how far-reaching it really is.
It is far-reaching because you like to get married to some person that you are matched with. It might be a traditional way of looking at it, being evenly matched or evenly yoked, but the truth about it that you want to be with some person that you're able to talk to, some person who understands where you're coming from, some person who shares your feelings, and the cases where people just have that physical attraction to each other, and there's no depth in the relationship. And when you talk to them, you don't find any depth in the relationship. If you ask them simply as something like throw questions at people, why do you want to get married to this man, or why do you want to get married to this woman, and they can't answer. They don't have an answer ready. But we are here to guide. We're there to help and to counsel
Yeah.
and to help them through life. And life is not easy. It's getting more and more difficult. And living together is not the easiest thing in this world. People are so different, and to point to them that there are different social issues which come together, which are there when they get married. People come from different homes, different backgrounds, different understandings, different religions. People come with all these differences. And you find people who come with similarities, so many similarities that they complement each other. But it is a job as we work as husband and wife, men and women, as we work to make things work, especially where there are children involved, to make this relationship work and to show that we love each other.
Do you think, like the lady said to you, not to use that lesson when she goes because she can't live up to that biblical expectation or standard? Do you think that in today's world it is unreasonable, or what needs to be kept from that virtuous woman?
Virtuous woman who does all these things. Yeah? It's lovely, it's idyllic. That's what it is, idyllic. Yeah. It's virtuous woman. But women are challenged nowadays, and families are challenged because women are not just sitting down home making coats and crocheting and doing things. Women are working, and God forbid, God help them, those are now working at home in the pandemic, because you're not leaving home. You're working from home, and you're getting up first thing you put on the computer, and you're online with the computer until late at night also. So you're working harder, and you're still running a home, you're still picking up children, you're still looking after a husband, and you're still looking after yourself. It's a challenge for us, and especially too now if both partners are home working.
Yes,
we're all challenged.
Yes,
so I don't know how we're making it.
It's a whole balancing act, and I think again that whole emotional intelligence conversation comes back into play. Sometimes we may be practicing it when we're getting it right and not even realizing. But for you, this is I don't know that you can even separate the two, but just as from your experiences as a male, what would you say men want in a relationship?
You need friendship, we need love, we need fidelity and trust, and we need to give all ourselves. It's not just that what we want, it's what we are willing also to give to the relationship, because it's not just one person putting something into the relationship. It is both people who have to contribute to the relationship. Yeah. So it's not just what men want, but it's what we all want in a relationship. We want finance. Right now money is short, and we need money. We need partners working or being able to put a budget and to work out how we're going to spend our money, to be very careful of what we're doing and planning. As I say, and I've always been taught, is doing this marriage course a few years back at the church called Holy Trinity, Brompton in the west of England. And one of the things that came up in that is they want to drive a car, as we begin to learn. If you want to become a university professor, you got to go through school, you got to go through various stages of getting there. But nobody teaches you how to get married. Or nobody teaches you how to love.
Right.
All right? Some people just get married. And that's where the counseling comes in. But counseling can't do it all. It's just a few hours that you have with people. And in most cases, you don't know some of these people. You don't know one of them. You don't know, they don't have any relationship with you. When you see these people come in, they come, you talk to them, but it's seldom that you find people that you know who are getting married and sharing in this intimacy. So it is about appreciating one another, whether it's in a marriage, appreciating the wife, appreciating the husband, and being there as you get older for that person. Because we need that support, we need that love or fidelity to be a part of it all.
Okay, well said. So we talked about the instruction or the expectation for the idyllic situation of having a virtuous woman. What about the instruction to a man about how he should love his wife?
He should love his wife unconditionally. A wife is God's gift to a man. God's gift to each other. And we need to appreciate each other. We appreciate the strengths, the weaknesses, the joys, and we appreciate things about each other. And in this world today, now, we want to be able to compliment each other, to be there to help the other person. I'm blessed because my wife does not work, and she's able to help me so much in my own ministry, share ministry, and that's important. But she was working 8 to 4, 8 to 5, or doing shift and share. She'll get him to remind me, you got a meeting today. She'll get him to say, well, this is what is the you got a meeting today, and the minutes are there or something there for you to look at. So that's the joy of having a good wife who's there with you.
Support in whatever way. So, were you able to hear some of the comments from Shane Edwards and Mr. McCollin before we came to you?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I heard some of the comments.
And what would you say? Or should I say, you know what, I'll save that for later. I'm going to hope that you can close off with us, come back when everybody is talking. Are you going to stay at the church until that time and chat with us?
I should be. I'm looking for some person to come in now.
Right.
And he should be in sometime soon. So
all right, let me get that comment just in case then. What did you think of what they were saying?
I was setting up, but they're younger people than I am, and they bring that younger approach to it. I'm a 60s, 1970s model, a traditionalist in many cases. These are younger men who are out there in the world, but they have the last guy had some good concepts there, and was able to follow him in what he was saying.
Yeah.
But things are changing. We live in a changing world. Things don't, what my mother and father put it with, or what my mother put it with, I don't expect my wife to put it with. Relationships change, people change along the way. My mother didn't work. My wife worked for most of our marriage. So when women had to stay home and put up with men doing nonsense, it doesn't happen these days. It comes down to respect. We got to respect each other.
Correct. I want to ask you this thing about the one red flag that people should turn the other way if they see. And I'm asking you this based on your experience in counseling and certainly, guiding your parishioners. What would be the one red flag you would say that is you need to go in the other direction, maybe just be friends or just,
One red flag. I'm trying to think about one red flag you put up. Sometimes the red flag comes at different points. It comes up with family and the influence of family on their children. You find strong in-laws who like to control the lives of their children and, by extension, control the marriage, or persons who are not ready to settle down. To be able to marriage is talking about settling down. And to be able to settle down into a change in life to a large extent, you can't be out there all hours of the day and night and sleep where you want to sleep, and you're supposed to be home looking after your family.
Well said. Well said. I think you've given us a lot to think about, and again, these are opportunities for men to share, and as we try to understand. I started by saying, this topic is probably one of the most asked questions. What do men want in a relationship? And one of the least answered because there is no definitive. But I am happy that I have so far heard a lot of common ground. Though you're all different generations of men, there have been some common threads flowing through the conversation. So that's interesting to note. But I want to thank you for sharing at this point, and I hope you can come back with us at least for the 10 to 12 huddle, Canon Haynes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So nice being with you, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much. Now, I at school, at primary school, you probably wouldn't want me to say this, but at primary school, I listened to many sermons from Reverend Haynes at the St. Peter, well, another St. Peter church, St. Philip the Less. So I thought it would be quite fitting to hear from him today. Thanks so much for sharing. So up next on my 10 to 12, we are going to hear from Errol Griffith. You've heard about his paradigm, his conversations with many of our youth through the Power of Choice program, of which he's the president. He is all about helping people develop themselves. So we're going to chat with Errol Griffith after the break. Back with you now as we continue with my 10 to 12. For today, it's the 23rd day of June, and the topic is, what do men want in a relationship? A number of different types of relationships came up, but lots of great information, I believe, is being shared, and we're hearing, don't want to use that, but I'm going to use the cliche anyway, from the horse's mouths. You know, we're hearing from men themselves, and this is also your opportunity to comment on Facebook. You can send those questions or comments to us, and you can call if you prefer a more traditional means because you want to weigh in. You can call us at 228-5563. So now we're continuing with the man, Mr. Errol Griffith, and giving you an opportunity to hear about what he's been doing. He is a people development specialist. He's president of the Power of Choice program. Good morning, Mr. Griffith.
Hey, morning, Cassandra. Good morning, and God bless you.
Thank you. Blessings received. So first of all, you know, your journey to the Power of Choice program has been very interesting. You've been trying to reach from our young people right up. I want, and with a gentleman who has some 24 years of marriage under his belt, I think that you're also good to talk about, you know, how to make it work. But what can you tell us about what is important as you look at helping people develop into their best selves?
First of all, you mentioned marriage. This is my second effort at marriage. Okay. The first one didn't last more than 19 months.
Okay.
In substance. So
you learned from that one.
Both sides. I hope so. But, you know, Cassandra, what we do is trying to help anybody whatsoever to understand that each of us has a spirit, each of us has a mind, each of us has a heart, and each of us has a body, and that we're responsible for the quality of our spirit, mind, heart, and body.
Right.
We all have been given free will, and as human beings, we've been given this power to be able to respond to whatever is thrown at us by other individuals or by life. And so the power of choice, really, all those four words mean is free will. And with will, each of us has that within us to make ourselves the best that we can be. And the better that each of us makes ourselves, chooses to make ourselves, then the better we'll be able to interact effectively with anyone else, including in marriage.
Excellent. Okay, well said. So how would you expand on that then, based on today's question? what men want
Right.
in a
With
relationship?
what men want? Well, for me, in my perspective, is that all men are different.
Okay.
So there's no one thing that every single man wants. And on the other side, there's no one thing that every woman wants. I think that every man wants what they want from a woman in a relationship, based on where they are as a person. So go back to we all have spirit, mind, heart, and body. Men that have a deep spiritual relationship are going to emphasize that and wanting that in a partner.
Right.
Men that are very much about their thinking and reasoning and evaluation, etc., they want a partner that they can relate to on that level. Men that are highly emotional in their heart, or those who are not as emotional, are going to want someone who they believe best blends with where they are emotionally. And then those who focus on the body, which in terms of physical, financial, material, are going to think of wanting a partner that is on that same plane as it relates to physical, financial, and material.
Is something wrong with that? Kind of almost like limiting what you want based on where you are at that moment?
I don't think it's really hard for us to really want something outside of who we are. Okay. Or even if we see a deficiency in ourselves and we recognize it for ourselves, as a man, we may want someone who complements that. But I really think that, again, where you are in terms of spiritual, mental, social, emotional, physical, financial, material, you are in general going to want someone that you consider compatible with you in that realm.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So how do you then apply the rules based on the spiritual, physical, mental, emotional? Did I cover all of them? How do you
go ahead.
How do you apply the rules to and give power to the choice that you're going to make when you're seeking out that right partner that you can find that right balance with for what you hope to be an indefinite period of time?
Let me speak first from my own experience. You know, I learned at 13 years old that I am responsible for me, and that I manage my every thought, and that my every thought impacts every aspect of my life, including how I feel. So I bounced onto the idea that I can be happy for the rest of my life at 13 years old.
Wow.
Now, I didn't know it was God. I didn't believe in God at that point in time. I didn't know I'd be dedicating my life to what I do now. But for me, when I look back on my life in terms of relationships, I would not be involved with anybody that I didn't consider happy. I could be your friend, you could be my best friend. But if you were not a happy person, I knew that what I would be doing is bringing unhappiness into my life in terms of an intimate relationship. And I just did not want that, because then that in turn impacts my happiness. On the other hand, because I was happy and believed it was possible for everybody, therefore, I also then spent a lot of time trying to encourage other people to realize that happiness is a choice. So when I look back at the girlfriends that I had over the years, and not as many as you may think, Cassandra, because
I didn't say a thing.
But because I was so picky, I had a lot of friends, but there was a line that they could never cross in terms of girlfriend or potential wife because they weren't happy. That was from me even before I was a believer in God. Now, I also want to be rich back then. So I can imagine, therefore, that I wanted someone who I imagine also had the similar goal to be rich. But, you know, if I go back, in my opinion, broadly, the number one thing that most people want, whether male or female, is to feel understood.
Okay.
That someone's going to listen to me, because someone's going to hear me, and someone's going to understand me, even if they do not agree with me. You mentioned my 24 years in marriage, all right? Hopefully we'll be married and be together forever.
Aww.
But if you ask me what I think is the absolute most important thing in a harmonious relationship, for me, it is beyond a relationship with God, okay? The number one is that of accepting the other person for who and what they are.
Acceptance.
So,
okay.
acceptance. All right. So, for me, I've decided that what or whoever Suzanne is, I accept. That's
okay.
it.
All right. We're going to pause here. That's a
Sure.
good point. That's a good point. We're going to pause here and we're going to come back to the conversation on My 10 to 12.
Sure.
Back with you, and we're chatting with Errol Griffith. He is the Power of Choice president. He is also a people development specialist. I like that. It's important as we move from stage to stage to have the focus that is necessary to stay on course. So continue with your point before we took the break.
So we're talking about acceptance.
Yes.
Well, I'll make it personal, okay? Suzanne Elizabeth Griffith is who she is. I can't change her. So if I want to be married to her until death do us part, it is important that I decide that's my goal and that I am going to accept everything about Suzanne. Those that are in line with what I ideally want in marriage and a wife, and those that may be different from what I want. And so then the other element is that it's easy when there are things that we agree with. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's easy. That's easy in any relationship whatsoever. Even professional relationships. The challenge is when there are differences. And because for me, I've learned that every thought in my mind is a choice. I may not be responsible for the split second thought, but I'm responsible if that split second thought has a home in my mind for a full minute, or a full second, a full minute, a full hour, a full day, a week, etc., etc. And so where that applies and why I mention it here is that I could sit down here today and Suzanne not home, and I could focus on everything about Suzanne that is different from what I want it to be. When that happens, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be negativity inside of me.
Right.
I can make myself feel negative regarding her. And then when I interact with her, it can be negative, even if I try to smile on my face. And so
you're so right.
It's critical when it comes to the differences.
Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of support for what you were saying about the communication and just really taking the time to share and be understanding. But then I saw some hesitance, though I saw some approval for acceptance. I saw some hesitance as well about acceptance from one of our viewers. This comment here: accepting the person as he is. So people may be wondering, what exactly does that mean? If there is a shortcoming that really irritates me, do I accept that, or do I try to help to move that person to the next level? I want you to clarify what you're saying about the acceptance.
And thanks for the question. So let's go. You said if it's something that irritates me, okay? The first thing, Cassandra, you may not like this.
That's okay.
The whole idea is that Cassandra's husband doesn't irritate Cassandra. Cassandra chooses to be irritated by whatever it is regarding her husband. And that relates to everybody else in life, those you work with, your children, etc. That's on one hand, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if there's something in my wife, and there are things that are different, all right? My acceptance saying, this is who she is, all right? Now, that once I genuinely accept, not just accept with my lips, but really accept in my mind and my heart, I allow myself to experience peace in the face and in the midst of the differences. Now, once I have peace, Now I'm a better position to respond to Suzanne in the most effective way rather than react. So acceptance doesn't mean, well, I accept and I do nothing. Acceptance is allowing myself to be in a place of peace or calm, or whatever word you want to use. And then
Right.
once I'm in that peace and calm, I can now respond and interact with that person in the most effective way possible, even if I'm trying to influence. But I
Okay.
come back. I have determined that it's not my role to change my wife. My wife
Yeah.
is who she is. I accept her as she is. Okay. And here's what I hope and pray that there may be certain things that change, as she for me also. But one of the things that I think is really important in relationships is stop trying to change the other person to make the other person what you want them to be and what you think they should be.
Listen, that is so easy to say, but I think at some level, we
Yes.
all go into it and we think,
Yes.
that's something we could work on, or I could change that. I don't like the term fix, but often people do that. People believe that they can change
Yes.
that person, but the whole
Yes.
paradigm that you are working with is about people, the individual,
Yes.
choosing to do something
Yes.
about whatever it is. And I
Yes.
also heard you speak about acceptance in a way that reminded me of like my mother's mantra, serenity.
Yeah.
And really understanding what it is you can actually change
Yes.
and do something about that. And then the
Yes.
stuff that you really can't change, you know, you learn to ask for that serenity, to accept it, and the courage
Yes.
to do something about what you can.
And none of us can change the other.
Yeah.
That's it. And we can't even change our children. So really and truly, that serenity prayer is so, if we will take it on for ourselves, it allows us to have peace, and it allows us to respond to whoever with a much higher level of wisdom than if we react.
Yeah, I got to understand it a lot better as I got older, and it really has helped me to get through some of my darkest times. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and sometimes people wonder how it is you're just holding it together. Apart from learning to compartmentalize at times where it's necessary, you really have to kind of go there and challenge yourself to do just that. Just if you cannot do anything about it, you kind of just work with that and work on what you can work on changing. So relationships are a key thing, and you know whether there is a marriage or not, but you're in the relationship. I think if you're in it, you go into it, I think most of the time wanting it to work or loving something about it. Is it important to also not lose focus of those things, or sometimes do you need to bring those things into focus because they may have been the wrong things you were focusing on, if that makes sense to you?
Well, we all change over time. Huh? I mean, I don't think anybody goes into marriage wanting it to fail. And it really and truly, again, the challenge is how we ideally deal with the differences. That's it, Cassandra. How do we deal with the differences? There will be differences and things will change. There was another point that ran in my mind as you were speaking, Jeff. I'm trying to let it come back to me.
Yeah.
And I hit on the one of, but you know something. If each of us in the relationship chooses to be humble,
Chooses
not
to
think that we
be,
all humble,
okay, humble, important.
and not think that I am always right and that other person's always wrong, but be able to really and truly objectively evaluate what is right and best in every single circumstance. It makes it easy. But that's ideal. Most people are not objective. Most people don't seek to be objective. Most people are subjective, and therefore hold on to them being right and the other person getting to where they are or having the opinion that they have. But the acceptance has to come from really within your heart, within your spirit. And I think that the other part for me that I can highlight now in this journey is the more that I develop a real personal relationship with God's Holy Spirit, where I can actually feel the presence of the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit inside my heart at will. That is what helps me over and above just the acceptance. That is what helps me to maintain the peace. So that the peace that I talk about from acceptance is not just a mental thing, but I find it most powerful with a real relationship and learning how at the snap of a finger, when I realize that I'm not at peace regarding anything regarding my spouse, to be able to say, you know something, okay, hold on, stop. That lack of peace is my fault. I'm responsible. Stop.
Okay.
Accept whatever it is about my spouse. And then on the other hand, all right, Holy Spirit, allow me to feel your presence. And there's a much greater level and deeper peace that then comes over. And now out of that peace, that voice in my head, that gut feel, that intuition, which I often call it the Holy Spirit and God speaking to us, I now make myself available to hear and let that lead me in how to respond to the spouse or my spouse regarding whatever difference.
Working through those feelings. Okay, as you talk about working through those feelings, if you have a problem with what you have described as a difference, as opposed to something that irritates you about the partner, as you work through those feelings and you tell yourself, well, look, I got to choose not to address this way, can that affect the communication? Because part of the problem here, and that men and women agree needs work, is the communication. If you work through a lot of it on your own, does that have the potential to impact on communication between the two of you? Perhaps you can share a little on that.
No, if not finish your question, because if I can get my spirit right, and I go back to just getting communication right, because sometimes we speak words, but the tone and the body language don't match the words that we speak. We're speaking what we think is best, what we think will work ideally in this circumstance. But if the spirit is not right, the tone and the body language will never be right. And so, but the more that one individuals genuinely in their heart, in their spirit, in their mind, respond and speak and interact best with the other person, hopefully that would reduce the risk of conflict. Because if you think about it, we often react not to words, we more react to tone and body language than words. How many times
it's true
to your partner just saying, or your partner saying, you just saying that, they're just words. But when your spirit is right, then your tone of body language is right. And then hopefully, the other person will choose to respond in a better way than if there was negativity coming and they would react to whatever that perceived negativity.
Okay, very interesting. A lot to think about. I am hoping that we can bring more of the previous guests back together. We're going to take another break and then we're going to come back. But great chatting with you, Errol Griffith. We're going to take a quick break and we've got more talk coming your way on my 10 to 12. We're continuing with the topic, what men want really in a relationship. And the perspectives have been very interesting. This is where we bring the guests back together. Of course, today, just to remind you, we had the opportunity to chat with a representative of Men's. He is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Ryan McCollin, with the Men's organization. That's the Men's Empowerment Network Support. We also heard from Shane DJ Ras Edwards, had the pleasure of hearing from the Reverend Canon Peter Haynes of St. Peter's. He's the rector of St. Peter's Parish Church. And for quite some time in my home territory in St. Peter, he would have been the parish priest there at St. Philip the Less Anglican Church. And of course, we also heard from Mr. Errol Griffith. He is a people development specialist, and he has been pushing the program, The Power of Choice. It's up to us. We can choose. So how we choose to address a situation, how we choose to deal with a matter, how we choose to communicate, it all clearly affects the outcome. So let's see who is able to stay with us at this point in time as we bring the conversation back. So we welcome back Mr. McCollin. Since you would have been the person with the longest break, let me just hear your thoughts on some of the conversations that I would have had with the guests so far, Mr. McCollin. Your thoughts on the perspectives shared.
Hi guys, welcome. Good to have you here. My thoughts around what was being shared, what have been shared, is it is important on all fronts what the guys have shared. It's really nice to hear that, because this is a multifunctional approach. This one program cannot even do justice. What I would really love is that we can have a lot more forums where we can have open discussions about relationship, panel discussions, and so on. It will be really good. And Cassandra, I must say thank you and the team. You're doing a fantastic job here on 10 to 12. My 10 to 12. Kudos to you and the team. Fantastic. I would like this to spread far wide and beyond, where we can pack out Lloyd Erskine, 71st Center, and so on, Hilton, and these conference room. Wonderful.
Nice.
So a number of things was said. Ras said a number of things, very important. Griffith said a number of things, and Reverend said a number of things. What is important is that we have to seek to understand rather than be understood. Errol concluded it very well. I was listening for some key particular words, and he used the word like humble, and fair compromise is important. Because when you love a person, the fact that you love a person and they do anything to take you off means that you care. Because you care means that you're willing to fight for it. Because love is an art and a sacrifice for the well-being of another's interest and success. Let me repeat that. Love is an art and a sacrifice for the well-being of another's interest and success. But there comes a lot of hurdles to climb along the way, because in relationships, if you don't do a proper genogram and understand where people are coming from, then how can you merge personalities and cultivate and bring out the best things out of each other? So in relationships, arguing is very healthy, because I love intelligent arguing, and I love to argue
and an
fairly.
Argument is different from quarreling.
Correct.
Just to be clear.
Correct, it is. An argument is totally different from quarreling. So why can't you argue intelligently and argue fairly? That's okay, because you have a right to have your differences. For example, my wife and I had a conversation about the water tank. So I was saying one thing, and my wife was totally saying something different. So I said, hon, what I'm saying to you is that because there's a ball inside the tank, and when it doesn't go off, it means then that it corroded with so much chlorine, and there are a number of things that happen. So it stopped the tank. The ball doesn't go off and close off the valve from which comes from the main line from the water authority. So she was saying one thing, and we went through 3 or 4 different things. I said, hon, can you just hear what I'm saying? So rather than taking away the wrong message, and I said, the ball in the tank, ABCD, blah, 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 is so because, so the water will still flow because. And then when she think about it. So listening is important, and understanding how to really communicate effectively. So we don't even argue. Me and my wife have intelligent arguments. That's the truth. We have intelligent and fair arguments. We resolve it like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's done. And that comes with a level of understanding and maturity. Now, Errol, you mentioned regarding choice. I'll say this to you. Choice is important, and it is important that we live happily so in our flesh. But it's critically important in a relationship that if you don't have that humility and someone aren't meeting a particular need, here's my point. I bring it from examples. When the car engine light comes on, we know it needs to be fixed. When someone short of us tell us your tire need air, we fix it. When the microwave, the stove, the fridge, we fix it. I find that is very difficult when it comes to mankind. We in ourselves, we don't want nobody to really help alter the way in how we ought to be fixed and work and function properly. So I know I hear we're not supposed to change anybody. Yes, God
Or
did not ever
fix
give us the
people.
ability fix people. We're not we weren't given that power to do that. But I'll tell you what, with intelligent with intelligent communication and skillful, you will be able to help that person to enhance the way they function with you in a relationship. It is critically important. So I find that we don't, within mankind, don't like to really face the practical steps that it takes through the eyes of humility to really bring about the necessary change for a relationship to bloom and blossom beautifully. We
Yeah.
cut off we cut off the thorns and present a rose, but at the end of the day, don't work like that. So there are a number of things that can really stagnate a relationship if we really don't understand how to really deal with it.
Okay. Canon Haynes, what would you say here about the importance of humility in relationships?
Well, we all have to be humble and humble ourselves, and to be able to take the back seat somewhere and trying to force people or force our way down people's throats. I like the concept given to us about this concept which speaks about how we communicate. Communication and is one of the important parts in preparing people for marriage and working with people. Communication, and what I find is the English have a way of communicating. For example, when I went on honeymoon with my wife to England, we bought this big suitcase, and you see these two young people pushing a suitcase down the streets of London. We got my uncle. My uncle said to us, "You think you need an engine for that?" I like to use it with my couples because it's how you put things. For example, the question to you: if your wife says to you, "Don't you think you could that you should press the shirt? The shirt should be pressed," and then you have to begin to think and realize what she's actually saying to you: "Go and press the shirt. Don't leave here with that shirt wrinkled up." So it's how we communicate and put over things. You can come with the big stick. Go and press the shirt. Go and get the shirt. Take off that shirt. Wear another shirt. But simply by putting the question, it opens the opportunity for the person to think and to realize you're saying to them something important. So it's to humble ourselves and recognize that we don't see ourselves, but other
Right.
people see us. And the first person who will see us in the morning or anytime will be our partners. And if they
Yeah.
say something is wrong, something is wrong. You know, they're observing. So we need to humble ourselves and to listen. I'll get back to the same listening to
Listening
what
to each other.
or that particular person will have to say to us. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Gentlemen, I'm hoping that DJ Russ can come back in at some point as well, but as he would have shared, he was on the road, so hopefully he will be able to. But what I like these comments. So communication comes with humility and respect, because that's what I'm hearing. Like if you take the time to actually hear the person, tone and how you say it, and I believe in that. You can say things, but it's how you say it that often will hit home before the message itself sometimes. You agree, Mr. Griffith?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier, right? And just now the reference was about being able to fix something at home that is broken, including like the microwave. But we can never fix another human being. And the most we can try to do is to seek to influence. So I really believe that we'll be better in relationships, whether romantic or otherwise, the more that each of us teaches ourselves how to be an effective influencer, which again, a large part is listening to understand. But it's then also hopefully out of us will come wisdom. And so if I go back to the question just now, you know, all the things in the household that we will seek to fix. I suggest that one of the problems in us as parents and in us as spouses is that too often we are trying to fix the people not versus seeking to influence. So when we become or seek to become effective influencers, is no guarantee that the other person in the household is going to take on what we are seeking to influence influence them towards. But
Yes.
when we don't get the result that we want, it's how do we again now learn from that experience and seek to influence again, and seek to influence again, and seek to influence again. So the idea about teaching ourselves and learning the skills of how to be an effective influencer is something that we will be doing for the rest of our lives versus trying to be fixers of other people that we can never control.
So Canon Haynes had also mentioned that the world has changed. It continues to change. And one of the things Shane, DJ Ras was saying would have been that women are operating differently. And in terms of what men want, and him sharing his personal wish or hope would be that, you know, they bear some of the burden. But he was saying that many women seem to be just wanting things and not giving that support and not listening. And I saw some Facebook comments, but I would like to hear from each of you. Who's going to go first? Your thoughts on his experience.
Canon, you going first?
No, you go ahead.
I honestly, Cassandra, I do not like to generalize broad-based sweeping comments about women. I really believe that we are all different, both men and women. Yeah, there are certain things that you're finding that's happening with most men, yeah, or most women, yes. But I really don't want to generalize. So for me, you will have some women who think that the only role for the man, or one role of the man, is that he's to look after all the bills. I don't believe that. I believe that if my wife and I am working, in fact, we have one single bank account, okay? And most of the time, the one with the checkbook is my wife.
Right.
And so, well, just in my instance, my wife is not working outside the home. But if my wife is working outside the home, I believe that it's one bank account. It belongs to both of us. We both have free access to it. We trust each other. And so whatever needs to be looked after out of that bank account, then it's to be looked after.
Okay. Mr. McCollin?
So what Mr. Griffith is talking about there is understanding the cultural dynamics of your home, what works for the individual environment.
Yes.
And that is critically important there. You have to know what works for the environment. And I do agree, I don't loosely general assumptions, because assumptions is the mother of all confusion when it comes to relationship. I like to ask questions because I'm a critical thinker. I will ask you a million questions, right? And actually when I do some sessions with relationships for persons, I have 21 key questions that most of them can't even get past one.
I want to hear some of those questions, but don't lose your thought.
I won't lose my thought, right? So it's critical to understand that. We need to understand the culture of the home when it comes to dealing with relationship. Reverend said it very well.
Right.
We and Griffith said it very well. Are you going into a relationship to bloom, to blossom, to love, to nourish, to tend, to cultivate, to nurture? Or are you going in it with a contract?
Yeah.
You see, so you got those questions are very difficult for some. Is this a contract? Where
some do go in with contracts. Some do go in with contracts.
Correct.
And you keep yours, I keep mine.
Correct, right? But a contract now in itself, they obviously limit responsibility. And it comes with that is why then you have I would probably get lashes for this nonetheless, but my back is broad to take it. Prenuptial agreements are a dangerous thing, because that tells me there's a contract, there's a couple already from the get-go. Why it is that if I have millions, I can't have my wife that I choose and I love so dearly, this voluptuous lady that I choose, and she's compatible with me, and the chemistry is so nice. Why it is then that I can't share my billions and my millions with her? Why do I have to sign a contract about a prenuptial agreement?
Reverend? Canon? Guys, you don't have to wait for me, feel free to jump in. I want to hear.
Going right now. I know where we're going now, because it talks about something that I always think about is selfishness, that we are socialized to think about ourselves more than anybody else. It's about me rather than about the other person. So, in a marriage, people don't see things as belonging to the marriage but they see what is theirs. This is mine. I had a couple who broke up after 10 years of marriage, and they were sitting down trying to find out and saying this in the house belongs to this person, this gift came from this person, it belongs to me, it doesn't belong to you, and they were
Wow.
dividing the spoils because of where they came from. But the things in the marriage belong to us. The things in the refrigerator belong to the family. It is not what my milk or my juice. It's there in the refrigerator to be used by all. It's common ground, but some people like to put their names on things and have a mark on what is theirs and what is not theirs. So you don't touch what's not yours. So
Yeah.
we although we respect people, we need to learn to share in a marriage. There's sharing and to remove the selfishness which has become part of our lives.
Well, the
And
thing. Go
selflessness
ahead. Go ahead.
and selflessness can only be harnessed from a regenerated mind. It takes a lot. All right, let me share a little deeper my personal life here. For example, I came through drugs, whorehouses. I was a DJ. I was a vagrant, and I was abused. I was physically abused. I was rejected. So for me, if I wasn't humble to recognize I really needed help, I would have never be where I am today. And it's critically important that in order to, because this is multifunctional and there are a lot of things here we're throwing out, yes, but at the end of the day, right, if we don't take time to zone in on those baby steps, little by little,
Yes.
bit by bit, line upon line, precept upon precept, if we don't take those steps, right, we will go around the mulberry bush and we will crumble our lives. And then we recognize when I get at a certain age, there's no sense of purpose. I don't feel valuable. I don't feel like if I can make a contribution. It is so important to take those baby steps. It's like a puzzle. When somebody put up the flower, the rose, the bird, somebody start from the end and put up the nature in itself, the wonderful landscaping. You see, it takes a lot of work. I had to come to my senses like the prodigal son. I recognized I needed help because I was a danger to myself. And I went down a road not by no fault of mine. I was out from home at a young age, no fault of mine,
Yeah.
right? And I say that in all love and respect, even for my father today. I love my father dearly. I've never heard my father once told me, "I love you." My father never pushed me on a swing. I never saw my father at a PTA meeting, and my father never even walked me to school. I went through the hornpipe a lot, but I had 3 wonderful men in my life who nurture me back into position and keep me on track. And I went through counseling from 2006 to present. And I go present because I keep doing a check on myself to see where I'm at.
Nice.
Added to my list now was Tony Alton. And he does a very good job with the Men Empowerment Network team that we will understand that this tired than us. And therefore, we need to understand how to really manage dealing with men, because men want integrity, men want rightness. So for me, I took it upon myself to go to my counseling sessions, trust the process, and I come from the gutter today, and I'm proud of where I'm at today, and I humbly say that. So we need to really get it together.
I
Or not,
really
we will
appreciate
go
your
around in circles.
sharing. I appreciate that. This conversation has been amazing. We're gonna let you gentlemen give some takeaways, but I've got a quick break here on my 10 to 12. Stay with us. You know, we start with 2 hours, but the time goes so quickly, and the conversation is always great, and it never feels like enough time. We have just about 3 minutes, and I want everybody to have a little something to leave as a takeaway. The topic was, what men want in a relationship, really. There were some common threads, but it was all very interesting. So I'll let you start, Canon Haynes, to give your takeaway from today's conversation.
There's a part of the marriage ceremony which says, an important part of the service which says, to love, cherish, and obey. And we find most people try to avoid that. And the modern translation says to love and to cherish. And one other modern translation says to love, cherish, and worship. And many people don't see themselves as worshiping some person else, but to ascribe worth and to give worth to the other person. That's what we're called to do. To cherish the persons in our lives, spouses, children, all those who contribute to our own development and to our lives. That we need to be able to recognize the importance and the joy that they bring to us in this life.
Yes.
And we need to cherish these persons as very special and important to our own development and important to our lives.
All right. And listen, pay attention. The Reverend told us a lot about the red flags, but he told you about what men want, what the expectations are, but then you also heard about what you need to bring to the table. So I'm coming to you now, Errol Griffith, to hear your takeaway for today.
Very often, as we interact with gentlemen about regarding relationships, one of the things that we try to get individuals to do is to understand themselves first. I even suggest that most of us really don't really understand ourselves. We have a perception of ourselves, and too often our perception of ourselves is not the reality of ourselves. But let's understand ourselves. Then let's understand what we really want in life. And then, does this person that I'm considering, does this person fit in to what I value in life and what I want in life? And then once you decide to get into a relationship and you get into a marriage, you understand that that person will change, as you will change over time. And however, you got to decide whether or not you're going to learn to accept whatever about that person and make the most of it, rather than just make yourself miserable in the name of differences. And there are times that we get into the wrong marriage or the wrong relationship, and we've got to decide, you know something, this really was a mistake and it cannot go forward forever. But very often, a lot of the relationships, I suggest that really with better acceptance or understanding acceptance, that some of these and many of these relationships can actually work harmoniously, not just be together for the sake of saying that we're together.
Okay. And coming to Mr. McCollin.
Yes, please. Thank you.
And thank you, by the way, for sharing that personal part of you.
No problem at all. No problem at all. I echo Gerald when he said, I strongly believe relationships can work. There's no doubt about it at all. I do believe. So this is what has to happen. This is part of what has to happen. This is part of the play. Your expectation in a relationship are determining how you are experiencing that relationship. Because obviously when your expectations are being met, things are grand, but obviously when your expectations are unmet, frustration and issues steps in, right? It ensues. So if anybody's in a relationship right now that's frustrated, try to look past the surface irritation and simply ask yourself, what am I expecting from this person that isn't lining up with my experience? And then look closely at your expectations and observe. I have 6 things here we'll bring up quickly. 1, where did your expectation originate? Mm-hmm. Was it something from your family or origin, formed from a past hurt, or possibly cultivated from watching TV or reading books about relationships? Number 2, is your expectation realistic? Is your expectation of a relationship came from an idealized scenario on television? It may not be reasonable. For example, if you are married and expect your spouse not to disagree with you, that's unrealistic. Mm-hmm. Number 3,
We've
If
got
your
seconds. You might
expectation
have
is
to go through them very
if your
quickly.
expectation is reasonable, there may be times when your expectations are realistic, but maybe not in the moment of season. So the next one is, have you communicated your expectation, which is critical here for men. We need to start communicating our expectations in a fair and realistic way, so that therefore, when we communicate with that female that we choose to want to bring in our lives, they can have an understanding, because we set the record straight, we lay the cards on the table, and we can revisit those things as time goes by and tweak and alter and enhance going forward beautifully. And then the thorns will be off. The thorn will be off the rose, and we can enjoy the rose that came with the thorns.
All right. DJ Ras could not rejoin the conversation, but he said simply, ladies, do better. Let's share the load together. I think you all shared some great information, great advice, and I am happy to hear it from men. So we have a lot to think about. I'm going to leave you here. Remember, you can watch this program again come Friday afternoon, but I want you to stay safe and just keep listening and respecting each other. Let's communicate. Thank you, gentlemen, and good afternoon, everyone.